South African exporters are still getting on with business, even as the threats of a steep U.S. tariff looms large. Uncertainty over the full framework deal by the Department of Trade and Industry, drafted for its U.S. counterparts, is driving anxiety.
The DTIC has been sharing information trips by trips. What we must appreciate, at least on their part, is that they've shown the seriousness around the matter to say that the U.S. is an important trading partner, and therefore they had to respond within the shortest space of time.
The last-ditch framework deal on the table has been described as vague and short on detail. However, Gai says it's a step in the right direction. He adds that in the long term, there is a demand in the United States for South African goods and services.
It positions us to say, let us demonstrate our global competitiveness. And it's actually in the long term, we are going to be viewed by the global community in a positive light to say there's a lot of competent companies in South Africa that are capable of competing at the highest level.
One of those players is Cummins South Africa, the power generation and mining equipment manufacturer. Though most of its exports go to the rest of Africa and the UK, it also ships to the US. Cummins and others have turned their focus from US tariffs to regional growth and long-term resilience. But that may have something to do with the company having its roots in Columbus, Indiana, in the United States. It's the smaller exporters who may be more vulnerable, according to business funding organization Lula's Chief Risk Officer, Garth Rosatier.
It's hard to know from week to week what policy decisions are coming out of the US. And I think that can change fairly quickly. And I think that's the level of uncertainty.
For SMEs, the unknowns are compounded by tighter budgets. But Rosatier says there are ways to soften the blow, strategies exporters can use to protect their operations from the steeper US tariffs.
Negotiate with your suppliers, try to source differently where you can, try to lower your input costs. I think those are all quite important steps that a small business can make in terms of looking at efficiencies within their own business. Because if you're in that exporting business, a tariff is going to impact your margins quite significantly. So if you can shift away from that, or alternatively, you look to create a niche product or highlight the competitive edge of your product that you're selling into the US market that can't be replicated easily.
If South Africa doesn't clinch a deal with the US by Friday, August the 1st, a 30% tariff becomes a reality. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Ntokozo Khumalo in Midrand.